To control the flow is to move through life with the awareness that every moment is part of a larger sequence, like a river that carries water from its source to the sea. You do not force the current, but you understand how it moves, and in that understanding you learn to guide it. People who rush into decisions, conversations, or actions often find themselves reacting rather than directing. But when you control the flow, you are no longer at the mercy of the chaos around you. Instead, you subtly influence the pace, the direction, and the timing so that events align with your intention. This is not about overpowering others or bending reality to your will. It is about harmonizing with the situation so deeply that the outcome becomes a natural extension of your presence. Imagine a chess player who never hurries their moves. They observe, they let the opponent think, they watch the patterns unfold. Every piece on the board is not just a piece, it is part of the tempo. A fast opponent may burn their energy quickly, but one who controls the flow never tires, because they are dictating the rhythm without even appearing to. In martial arts, this is seen when a master slows down an aggressive opponent, using small steps, redirection, and stillness to pull the fight into their own timing. It is not strength that dominates, but rhythm. Controlling the flow requires you to detach from the emotional storms that others try to pull you into. When someone attacks you with words, their aim is often to set the tempo of the interaction, to make you respond quickly, defensively, and without thought. But if you refuse to match their speed, if you breathe, think, and reply at your own pace, you break their control. Suddenly, they must adapt to your rhythm. This is how leaders, negotiators, and wise teachers operate. They never allow the flow to be taken from them. In moments of pressure, they slow down, and in moments of opportunity, they accelerate, always choosing the tempo rather than inheriting it from others. Life itself is a constant exchange of flows, conversations, negotiations, relationships, markets, and even your own emotions. When you feel stress, it is often because you have surrendered control of the flow to circumstances. You are rushing because someone else is rushing. You are anxious because the world is noisy. But the truth is, the flow is always present, and you can return to it by grounding yourself. This may mean taking a breath before speaking, pausing before acting, or stepping back from a situation entirely to regain perspective. A single pause, well-timed, can change the entire course of events. There is also an invisible aspect to controlling the flow, and it is the awareness of momentum. If something is moving too quickly, it can be guided into slowing down. If it is moving too slowly, it can be encouraged to pick up speed. This is why the best storytellers, whether on stage or in personal life, hold their listeners not by constantly exciting them, but by alternating between intensity and calm, suspense and resolution. They play with tempo. Similarly, in strategic thinking, you may sometimes give ground, let things appear to slip away, only to pull the situation back when the timing is perfect. This is not surrender, it is orchestration. Many people believe that controlling the flow requires dominance, but in reality, it requires listening. You must sense where the energy is moving, how people are feeling, what the unspoken tensions are. You cannot direct a current you cannot feel. A musician cannot control the rhythm of an ensemble without listening to every instrument. Likewise, in life, you control the flow by first attuning yourself to it. The more you notice patterns, the more you can influence them. In a conversation, if you notice that emotions are rising, you can shift your tone, slow your speech, and lower your voice, and soon the other person unconsciously matches you. In a team setting, if you see panic setting in, you can speak with calm authority, creating a stabilizing influence that makes others follow your lead. In negotiation, if someone pushes you for a quick decision, you can lean back, ask a question, and reclaim the tempo. These are not acts of resistance, they are acts of quiet leadership. There is also a deeper personal dimension to controlling the flow. Within yourself there are many currents, desires, fears, impulses, ambitions. If you are not aware of them, they pull you in different directions and you feel scattered. But when you observe your own mind as you would observe a river, you begin to notice where the water is smooth and where it is turbulent. By choosing which current to follow, you are no longer tossed around. You are steering. This self-control is the foundation of controlling the flow outside yourself. Without internal mastery, any external control will be temporary, because eventually you will be drawn back into someone else's current. The paradox is that controlling the flow does not mean clinging tightly. The tighter you grip, the less you feel. A good sailor does not strangle the rope. They keep it firm but responsive to the wind. In the same way, you must guide without rigidity. When the current changes, you adjust, but the adjustment is your choice, not a reaction forced upon you. The world notices this. People gravitate toward those who move steadily even when the environment is uncertain, because steadiness is rare. When you control the flow, you also control perception. Others begin to see you as the anchor in the room, the one who cannot be rushed or provoked into a mistake. Over time, this perception becomes reality. They adapt to your rhythm without realizing it. This is where influence is born, not in loud commands, but in quiet consistency. You shape the space around you, and in doing so, you shape outcomes. To live this way requires discipline. You must practice slowing down your thoughts, noticing the moment before you act, and resisting the pull to match everyone else's pace. You must also practice accelerating when necessary, catching others off guard not with force, but with timing. It is a balance of patience and decisive action, of stillness and movement. Over time, you begin to sense the invisible threads that connect actions and consequences, and you learn to tug them gently rather than tearing them apart. Ultimately, controlling the flow is about choosing how you engage with life. The river will always move, storms will come and go, and other travelers will try to row past you in haste. But you, with awareness and skill, can guide your boat so that every bend, every current, and every wave works for you rather than against you. And when others finally realize the journey has been moving at your pace all along, they will understand. Control was never about force. It was about presence. To win before the final move is to understand that most victories are decided long before they appear to be. The visible moment, the final checkmate, the decisive blow, is only the surface of a much deeper process that began long before anyone noticed. In chess, a single move can look like the cause of victory, but in truth, it is the result of dozens of earlier moves that shaped the board, lured the opponent, and narrowed their choices until the end was inevitable. This principle is not limited to games. It is the same in business, in relationships, in personal growth, and in life itself. The final outcome is simply the flowering of seeds planted far earlier. When you approach life with this understanding, you stop chasing immediate results and start shaping conditions. A skilled gardener does not try to force a plant to grow in a day. They prepare the soil, choose the right seeds, and tend to them with care. They know that by the time the first leaves appear, the work has already been done. In the same way, those who win before the final move are constantly arranging small details, influencing perceptions, and setting rhythms that lead others, often unconsciously, toward the outcome they desire. This is a patient and subtle form of power. It often begins with observation. Before making any significant move, you must understand the landscape. You watch the patterns, the tendencies, the strengths and weaknesses of the people and systems around you. You listen without interrupting. You note where the openings are and where the resistance lies. This is preparation in its purest form, not the rush to act, but the discipline to see. When you do act, your move will seem effortless because it fits perfectly into the sequence you have already shaped. To win before the final move also requires humility. You resist the urge to show your strength too early, because early victories can create resistance. In conversation, this might mean letting the other person feel that their ideas are leading the way. even as you subtly guide the direction. In competition, it might mean taking a defensive stance at first, letting the opponent overcommit and create openings. The ego wants to win immediately. Wisdom waits until the win is unavoidable. By then, the opponent has already walked themselves into a position they cannot escape. There is a quiet satisfaction in this way of thinking because you are no longer dependent on luck or last-minute heroics. Your success is not a gamble. It is built on structure, like a house that stands because its foundation was laid with care. When you live this way, you begin to trust the process. You no longer need to rush into every opportunity or respond to every challenge with immediate force, because you know that real victories are born from alignment, not from urgency. In martial arts, this principle is seen when a master allows an opponent to attack first. They may take a step back, seemingly retreating, but in reality, they are creating the perfect angle for a counter. When the decisive strike comes, it is not sudden. It was waiting the entire time. In negotiation, this is the person who listens for an hour, lets every argument unfold, and only in the final moments presents a solution that feels so inevitable that the other side cannot refuse. In personal goals, it is the person who builds daily habits so steadily that by the time the challenge arrives, they are already prepared, while others scramble. The beauty of winning before the final move is that it removes the desperation from your actions. You are no longer chasing outcomes with frantic energy. You are shaping them quietly, often invisibly. This gives you composure. Others may think you are simply lucky, but luck is just what preparation looks like from the outside. If you have already set the pieces in place, the final move will feel like the natural conclusion, not a surprise. There is also a deeper mental discipline at work here. You must train yourself to think several steps ahead, not in a way that overcomplicates the present moment, but in a way that allows you to see how the present shapes the future. Every word you say plants a seed, every action sets a tone, every choice sends ripples outward. If you are careless with these small things, you are giving away your future victories. If you are attentive, you are weaving a pattern that others will walk into without realizing it. This approach demands patience with uncertainty. There will be times when it seems like nothing is happening, when you are quietly arranging pieces while others appear to be making bold moves. It takes confidence to stay the course, to trust that the moment you are building toward will come. The temptation to rush in is strong, but when you understand that the end is already written, you can wait with calm certainty. Another important aspect is subtlety. If others become aware too early that you are positioning for victory, they may resist, change their behavior, or even withdraw entirely. This is why those who win before the final move often do so with gentleness. They let others feel secure, even successful, until the true shape of the situation is revealed. This is not deception in the harmful sense. It is strategy, the same way a storyteller saves the twist for the right moment, not to mislead, but to create the deepest impact. In daily life, you can see this principle in how people build relationships. Trust, once established, becomes a powerful position from which to influence. But trust is not won in a single act. It is built over time, in consistency, in being present, in listening well. By the time a critical moment comes, the trust is so strong that your influence flows naturally. In career growth, this might mean taking roles that seem small, but are aligned with your long-term path, so that when the opportunity appears, you are already the obvious choice. Even in conflicts, this principle holds. The person who has already prepared allies, gathered information, and understood the other side's motivations has effectively won before the confrontation begins. The discussion is not a battle. It is the unveiling of a conclusion that has been shaped long in advance. This does not mean manipulating others in a harmful way. It means creating such strong conditions for your goal that resistance becomes minimal. The final move itself is often quiet. It might be a single sentence, a signature on a paper, a handshake, or a step taken at just the right time. To an outside observer, it might seem like a small act, but its power lies in everything that came before it. You have already done the work, placed the pieces, shaped the flow. The final act is simply confirmation. Living with this mindset changes how you experience challenges. You start to see them not as sudden obstacles, but as parts of a long game you are already playing. You no longer fear the final confrontation because you understand that it is not the moment of truth. It is just the moment when the truth becomes visible. To win before the final move is to respect the unseen work, to honor preparation as much as execution, and to trust that if the foundation is right, the outcome will follow. It is a way of living that values patience over impulse, structure over chaos, and quiet certainty over loud declarations. And when the moment comes and the world sees the final move, you will already know. You had won long before anyone else realized it.